On this week's edition of the Stony Brook News,
the royalty are back in fashion at homecoming.
Students get their groove on for Hispanic Heritage Month.
We get a taste of a classic New York drink.
All that and more on this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. I'm Caitlin Martin.
And I'm Colin Connectal. USG was forced to cancel Back to the Brook Volume 1, a week before headliner Ashanti was scheduled to perform. According to a USG Facebook post, only 24 tickets were sold, and the cancellation was meant to avoid any financial impact. Students will be reimbursed for their tickets, and there has yet to be any confirmation if there will be a Back to the Brook Volume 2.
The Stony Brook homecoming monarchy is dead. SBU students have decided to ditch the homecoming king and queen tradition in favor of something more in line with 2018. This year, 3 students were elected to homecoming royalty. Our reporter, Ganeet Singh, sat down with the first non-binary member of the court.
We are here in the studio with Ajilsa Fernandez, who is one of the candidates for the homecoming court, and we're going to learn a little more about the changes to homecoming court this year. So Ajilsa, you are definitely one of those non-traditional candidates. Can you speak a little bit about what you represent?
I identify as she, her, hers, he, him, he, any pronouns really. Yeah, and my journey towards gender began pretty much when I was young. I knew I was different since I was like 7, but I didn't have the vocabulary word for it. And now, thankfully, as things have progressed, I know 100% I'm non-binary. So I identify as non-binary because I don't fit into one box. I don't fit either to male or female. So I present as masculine by the way that I dress, but my mannerisms are very feminine. The way I speak is very feminine. And so I have a mixture of both, and that's why I identify as non-binary. Because the goal to me, ever since I started this journey, hasn't been like about whether to win or not, but mostly to make a statement. So I hope to leave on the table that if someone's struggling or someone's going through something, that they're able to reach out.
So if you're sitting here tonight and you are struggling, I want you to know that you are not alone.
So what are the other changes happening with homecoming court this year?
It's so amazing. It's amazing to see it. So they've changed the name. Instead of homecoming king and queen, is now homecoming royalty. So it's open to everyone, which is amazing. And then also the crowning. To me, it was a crown that was for males, and there was a tiara, which is for females. So now the crowning has changed to a more gender-neutral type of crown.
Thank you, Ajilsa, and thanks again for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And those are the changes with homecoming court this year. Thanks for tuning in. Back to you guys.
In 2007, only 8.6% of the Stony Brook student body was Hispanic. Now that number has nearly doubled, and Spanish speakers are the most rapidly growing population on Long Island. Our reporter, Meng Wan, went to see how they celebrate their heritage.
The 29th celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month at Stony Brook began at an opening ceremony on October 5th. Latinos and Hispanics now make up almost 14% of the SBU student body. Justice for All is this year's theme. Participants brought up ethnic diversity and inequality problems plaguing the Latino community.
If we're going to say, all right, Stony Brook's a beacon of diversity, we have to have some proof to go behind that. And I feel like things like this, like awareness months, like getting people to come and speak on their own behalf, on their own culture, I feel like that's the best way to express our internal diversity and share it.
Dancing is a prime way of celebrating Latino culture. Some especially popular genres like bachata and cumbia. Students loved joining and loved eating traditional food.
We are such a little percentage in this campus. It makes us feel at home, whether it's with the dances or even with the empanadas that were provided, which is so great.
Not just dance. The celebration will continue to November with different guest speeches, gallery exhibitions, and screening of movies.
All of our celebrations of cultural differences, all of our celebrations of abilities, all of our celebrations of different types of students, different types of people we have contributing to the university, it's very important.
What's the next cultural celebration? I have no idea, but do not forget to check out the closing ceremony of Hispanic Heritage Month on November 1st. For Stony Brook News, I'm Meng Yuan.
The Stony Brook community took a hard hit this Sunday. Charles Wong, a Long Island-based entrepreneur and SBU benefactor, died. As a philanthropist, Wong gave Stony Brook $52 million for the Charles B. Wong Center.
Let's turn our attention to something in the Far East that's now being imported to New York, K-pop. And as reporter Tiffany Golding can tell us, BTS is the first Korean group to have a major breakthrough in the United States.
It's no secret that music can bring people from different ethnic backgrounds together. So when the South Korean boy band BTS took the stage at Citi Field for the first time, it was a sold-out show.
It's just crazy how BTS is bringing people from all different parts of the United States and the world together.
To meet people in real life who actually enjoy K-pop too, it's really cool.
About 40,000 BTS fans who call themselves the ARMY showed up to watch the K-pop boy group perform. Some fans even camped outside of the stadium days before the concert just to be as close to the center field stage as possible.
It's one thing to be a dancer and it's one thing to be a singer, but to be all of these different things together, I think more than anything else that K-pop stars, that they are performers. And to be a performer, to me, it's a very big deal.
The crowd was actively involved, and the performance from BTS was nothing short of theatrical. Goyal, a backup dancer for BTS, shares his first experience on a professional stage.
We got all of our energy from BTS and the crowd, you know what I mean? The crowd is what pushed us to perform even more, and it pushed us to give it our all.
K-pop, born in Korea, is a wide variety of audiovisual elements. It shows influences of rock, jazz, hip-hop, and even reggae.
It kind of shows me that music itself is a universal language, you know? You don't have to understand it, you just have to feel it.
BTS has become the most successful K-pop act in this country. Their third album was the first K-pop release to hit the Billboard album charts. And after taking a listen, they might have a new fan in their army. But for now, this reporter is going to continue to blast her headphones with hip-hop and R&B. For Stony Brook News, I'm Tiffany Golding.
Hurricane Willa is barreling towards Mexico and may strengthen to a major Category 5 hurricane before making landfall this week. It won't be reaching us here on Long Island, but it has been getting chilly lately.
Let's ask our meteorologist, Darlene, to tell just how much we'll have to bundle up. Darlene?
Thanks, Colin. I hope you bundled up this morning when we had temps in the mid-30s and a wind speed of 9 miles per hour. Fortunately, it's warmed up to about 45 degrees now, and if we take a look at our hour by hour, we'll see that we'll continue to warm up to about 52 in the mid-afternoon and drop back down to the mid-40s tonight. Take a look at our 7-day forecast, and we'll see that we're going to warm up to about 62 degrees tomorrow and the mid-50s on Wednesday. Looking at Thursday and Friday, we'll be back in the high 40s. Moving on to my favorite part of the week, the weekend, we'll be in the mid-50s, and we'll expect some showers late Saturday night, moving into Sunday. Stay bundled up this week because it's going to be chilly. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Darlene. Is that apple juice? I loved that as a kid.
Me too. But this next package has a drink a lot stronger than you remember, and you'll need your ID. Thankfully, our reporter, Bria Ellis, brought hers.
Apple and pumpkin picking aren't the only popular fall festivities these days. The hard cider business is booming.
Hard cider it's a fermented apple product. We start with naturally pressed apple juice, which is naturally gluten-free, which is another big draw why the product is so fast growing in this day and age. A lot of people have gluten allergies or food allergies, but it's a refreshing, hard, carbonated apple juice.
Hard cider has been gaining traction. The cider market was valued at $10,667 million in 2016 and is expected to reach $16,252 million by 2023, according to a report published by Allied Market Research.
The beverage segment market, it's tough to be original in any market segment nowadays, but I think cider, it's up and coming. It's still relatively new. I think the draw to it is it's a bit more refreshing. I think it's more hip to a younger crowd.
The average cider drinker is likely to be younger than the average beer drinker, according to CGA reports.
I feel like it's lighter than actual beer. It's not as heavy. It tastes better than beer. It's nice and sweet. So, easier to get down.
The Riverhead Cider House offers 12 original hard ciders for customers to enjoy, and all the apples used for the ciders are grown right here in the state of New York. There are over 800 cider producers located in the U.S., and nearly 100 of those are located right here in New York. For Stony Brook News, I'm Bria Ellis.
Hey Caitlin, did you get to see the homecoming game Saturday night?
Fortunately, I missed it, but our sports reporter Dorothy Mai was in the middle of the action. Dorothy?
Thanks, Caitlin. The Stony Brook football team hosted their homecoming game against Rhode Island and finished with the record-breaking score of 52-14, a season-high victory. Senior running back duo Donald Leontine and Jordan Gowans made Stony Brook football history as they both gained over 100 rushing yards for the fourth time in the same game this season. The Stony Brook women's volleyball team continued their undefeated streak on Thursday night against Hartford with a 3-0 win. The team has made a big turnaround after Kristen Belzung came in as their new head coach 2 years ago. We got the chance to speak to her to see how successful the team is.
It's funny, if you look at our team offensively, we're incredibly balanced, and that's one of the things that's made us good this year. Is I don't think teams know how to game plan against us. To have 5 players that we have right now that are averaging about 2 kills a set. Usually you get a player with 4, maybe a player with 3, and then everybody kind of drops off after that. We've been very balanced, which is one of the things that's made us hard to beat right now. After a big win, honestly, we try to take everything in stride as we get going into season. So until you get to conference championship, none of these wins matter much because we know that the end goal happens in November. So we try to keep it relatively level-headed in the same way that we do with maybe a bad loss. You try to come back in the gym, you figure out what you did well, what you can do better, and we try to continue to get 1% better every day so that we're where we want to be in November. We just have a system that's very specific. So I think we've been able to kind of hold our girls accountable and have a team-oriented system in place that allows us to, be successful, hopefully.
That's all we have for sports this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Dorothy. Autumn in New York means pumpkin picking, hay rides, and fall festivals. Our reporter, Sophia Rico, gives us a look at Long Island's biggest fall festival in Huntington.
The 25th Annual Fall Festival, sponsored by the Huntington Chamber of Commerce, presented their town as an autumn attraction. The town, established in 1653, put its best face forward with the hue of fall's colorful canopy as a backdrop.
What the festival is to Huntington is amazing. We bring all these businesses and residents together in this one great Heckscher Park, which is full of history. But this is the best weekend of the year.
The smell of fallen leaves filled the air, along with the sound of live music, vendors, and a full carnival that was populated by, of course, pumpkins, and more pumpkins. It was easy to be wrapped up in orange and fall spirit.
Just seeing all the people from Huntington that have come out. We recently moved here, and it's just a great environment and very friendly people. So just seeing everyone out having a good time.
Vendors that populated the park and lined the streets benefited from the turnout. Local merchants sold their wares, advertised their services, and even helped cure festival goers' coffee cravings.
Hundreds of thousands of Long Islanders come every year, so it's just a great way to be present in the community and meet new people and spread the word about our brand.
Sail Away is a local brand that distributes nitro coffee throughout the island, but has yet to establish a storefront. This is their 3rd year at the festival, and they hope to keep coming back each year to keep building their customer base. The buzz in Huntington is that this year's fall festival was the best yet. But if you didn't get a chance to visit, there's always next year. The Chamber has already begun their preparations for the next extravaganza and plan on making it just as massive as this one.
From roasted sweet corn to pumpkin spice coffee, there is everything you could want to satisfy your autumn appetite at the Huntington Fall Festival in Heckscher Park. For Stony Brook News, I'm Sophia Rico.
That's all we have for this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Thanks for watching. I'm Caitlin Martin.
And I'm Colin Knechtel. Have a great day, Seawolves.